Okay, this is a question from 2008, number 3. I don't know the girl's name or the boy's name that they're using here. Naraili, I think is the name. It says Naraili is a student at the University of Annesley. It's a girl. Naraili. She has 5 hours to study for 2 exams today. The table below shows Naraili's expected scores given the amount of time she studies for each exam. So the table that they give you looks like this right here. The number of hours that she can study for microeconomics and the expected score that she can receive out of the 5 hours that she has. Same thing with history. The number of hours that she can study and the expected score that she can receive. In each hour that she puts in, there's an expected output that she'll receive, or a score that she'll receive. If she puts in all 5 hours into microeconomics, she's going to get 100. But if she puts 4 into microeconomics and 1 hour into studying history, she's going to get a 40 in history and a 96 in microeconomics. If she studies 3 hours for microeconomics, she's going to receive a 90. Then the other 2 hours she has remaining, she'll get a 60 in history. If she decides to study only 2 hours out of the 5 for microeconomics, she'll end up scoring an 82. The remaining 3 hours she'll use to study history. She's going to get a score of 72. If she only takes one of those 5 hours and studies for microeconomics, she'll get a 60. The other 4 hours she puts into studying history, she's going to get a 77. And then the last one for microeconomics, if she doesn't study at all, she's going to get a 0. But if she puts all 5 hours into studying for history, she's going to receive a score of 80. And a lot of times in these, when they give you a chart or data like this, it's good practice just to go through the data to understand what's happening first and foremost with the table, the chart, or whatever it is that they give to you. Because just walking through it like we just did kind of helps explain what's taking place here with this girl and the 5 hours that they're giving to her to study. So let's go through the questions now. It says the first question, A, says Naraili spends 3 hours studying microeconomics and 2 hours studying history. So that would be 3 hours studying microeconomics and 2 hours studying history. Okay, it says calculate her gain from the second hour spent studying history. So out of the 5 hours, she has 3 on microeconomics and she uses 2 on studying history. And it says calculate her gain from that second hour that she spent studying history. Well, the first hour, she received a 40. The second hour, she goes up from a 40 to a 60. So for A, the gain is 20 points. Okay? That's the expected gain that she would get. Going from 1 hour at 40, expected score 40, to 2 hours and scoring at 60. B says, calculate Naraili's opportunity cost of the second hour spent studying history. So, she has 3 hours studying microeconomics. She had 1 hour studying history, and they said calculate the opportunity cost of that second hour of studying history. Well, instead of putting that second hour into history, she could have put it into studying for that 4th hour in microeconomics. She could have increased her score by 6 points. And that's how you would figure that out. So for B, 6 points possibly gained in micro. All right. C asks the question, assume Naraili increases the time she allocates to studying history. Okay. What happens to the opportunity cost of studying history? Explain. So she increases the time from 2 hours to 3 hours in studying history. Okay, it asks what happens to the opportunity cost. So it's asking what did she give up over here, okay, to gain more over here. The opportunity cost increased when she decided to spend more time studying history. And by that we mean the more that she took away from studying microeconomics, all right, the greater the loss became in microeconomics. The opportunity cost increasing as the expected score in microeconomics decreased at an increasing rate. Okay? Opportunity cost increased as the micro score decreased at an increasing rate. Okay, and to explain that a little bit more, every time I'm giving up an hour in studying microeconomics, I'm losing more and more and more from a possible score. If I go from studying at 4 hours to, and earning a 96, if I go down to studying only 3 hours, I lose 6 points. If I end up studying only 2 hours, I lose 8 points. If I only study from not 2 hours, but if I only study 1 hour, I lose 22 points. Okay? And if I don't study at all, I lose 60. All right? So we see that the opportunity cost is increasing as I add more hours to studying history. All right? My micro score decreases at that increasing rate. The question D asks, assume that Nerali has a goal of maximizing the sum of her test scores, the score on the microeconomics plus the score on history. How many hours should she study for each exam? So this particular question right here, a lot of students were getting confused on this. How do they figure this one out? Well, it's relatively simple. They're kind of set up the table so you could figure this out easily. If I spent all my time studying micro and 0 studying history, my added score together would be 100 plus 0 would equal 100. Okay, 96, if I took 1 hour off the micro and studied 4 hours for micro, I'd get a 96. 1 hour for history, I'd get a 40. So 96 plus 40 equals 132. 90, if I did 3 hours, studied 3 hours for micro and 2 hours for history, 90 plus 60 equals, I would get a combined score of 150. If I studied 2 hours for micro and 3 hours for history, my combined score would be 154. If I studied 1 hour for micro and 4 hours for history, my combined score would be 137. All right, and then 0 hours for micro and 5 hours for history, all right, I would end up adding, oops, sorry, I kind of screwed that up, sorry guys. 0 plus 80, my score would be 80. And so what we're saying here is they want us to know what is our highest combined score here, and that would be 154. So that would be studying 2 hours for micro and 3 hours for history. That combination would give us our greatest result. E asks the question, Nerali learns that her tennis practice has been canceled, so she's able to free up an hour of additional studying. Given your answer in part D, will Nerali allocate the additional hour to studying microeconomics or to studying history to maximize the sum of her test scores? Explain using marginal analysis. All right, so when we look at this right here, they want to know, where would our highest gain come from? Would it come from an additional studying of micro, or should we take an additional studying of an hour studying for history? Well, if I put additional studying to micro, I'd go from an 82 to a 90, so that's an increase of 8 points right there. If I did an additional hour of studying history, that would be from a 72 to a 77, that would be an additional 5 points there. So an additional 8 points is what we want. So D, we should say, increase the study time of micro. Increase the study time of micro. I like the sound of that. All right. The gain for micro is +8 and compared to history at +5. Okay, and that's the comparison that they want to see. They want to make sure that you're analyzing this at the margin, at the next additional amount of output that we're getting here. Okay, and that's the gain right there. Micro, you're going to get 8 more points. History, you'd only get 5 more points. Study more micro. That's the game plan there. All right, guys. Thanks.